And we are live. We still have an over. There we go.
I thought I was supposed to cut the music, man.
It is a cool jam. It is a cool jam. How you doing?
I'm good. I cut the music on time.
Yeah, you did. You got the music on time, man. We're live here with Bigfoot Forest Giants podcast. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We got a good guest tonight. His name is John Nicley. We're gonna bring him on. We're just gonna touch base with everybody that's kind of in here. I'm gonna look at my chat on the phone and just say hi to the best mods in the business, Miss Diane and Miss Cash, Kazentai. We have Leonard. How you doing, bud? Mikey V, what's up, our buddy? He's also part of our team, Anti Venom. We've been out in the field with her. She's a good person. My wife is watching. She's driving. Don't tell anybody she's watching and driving because my kids are in the car. I think she's more listening than watching. But how you been? How you been?
For me, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
you
Yep.
been super busy out there on the farm.
It's been raining a lot, so I've gotten away with not doing a whole lot lately.
Okay, so praise the rain.
I did get my pickup pinned down. Now, it's just basic things like I got to mow tomorrow before I take off Friday. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been not too bad. I've actually gotten to turn on the TV a couple times this week.
Did that feel weird having time to do something?
It did. It did.
You're like what we are like. I mean, you're busy with doing farm stuff. We're busy doing family stuff, special needs child and whatnot. So we're constantly on the go. My wife more so than me. And what we always say we're going to do when we do what you do is get time is take a nap, but we just we never get around.
Sit down on the couch, kick your feet up, and fall asleep within 5 minutes. that's pretty much how I watch TV.
For everybody out there that don't know Bobby can fall asleep at the drop of a hat. When Bobby and I were headed to East Tennessee, we were having a conversation. Me and Bobby were talking back and forth, just exchanging. And then in mid-sentence, as I'm talking to him, he snores. He just starts snoring. I literally he finished a sentence. I got half through with a sentence, and he was snoring. It just
that means you drugged that shit on way too long.
I think that's what it meant. But you fell asleep just so hard. I'm like, damn, I felt just talking to nobody over there.
Tired I am, man.
Yeah, I understand. Like I said, aside from my father, you're the hardest working person that I know. Well, we'll welcome John to the show, and John has had an encounter. I haven't heard yet. Could be sighting. Could be there's classes. Class A, B, and C. Could have heard something. Could have smelled something. Could have seen something. I don't know yet. I'm going to find out with the rest of everybody. But that's the excitement of not hearing an encounter before from somebody. So we're going to bring John on. Let John introduce himself. I'm excited to hear what he's got to say. John, how you doing, bud?
How you doing?
Good. How are things up there from where you are?
We all right. Tired. Like I said, we're in the middle of getting stuff together to pack for the trip. So,
and for everybody out there, where are you located?
Lexington, Virginia.
Yeah. Wasn't there a Mountain Monsters filmed up that way?
Not that I know of.
Right up there, or maybe I'm thinking of West Virginia. Virginia.
Which we're pretty close. I mean, a couple of hours.
Yeah. Because I know they did a few episodes, I think, in Virginia or West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Was it? Okay. So before you dive in and tell us about your encounter, did you know anything about these things before? I mean, have you heard about them when you were a kid or anything like that?
Well, yeah, like everybody, what you see on TV and whatnot. But as far as anything else, no.
Didn't have an opinion either or way. It just wasn't in your radar at all to really care about it in the first place.
Well, I mean, I grew up, hunting and camping. So, I've been camping since I was 8 years old. So, I figure by now I know everything that's supposed to be in the woods anyway.
Right.
You know, I can tell you what the, and if you hear sounds, I 9 times out of 10 I can tell you what, well, that's so and so, or that's so and so tracks.
Yeah. So your experienced woodman hunter.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of hunting, fishing, a lot of camping. My grandmother and grandfather raised me, so, and they were big NASCAR fans. So I learned to camp through NASCAR because that when we went to the races, we stayed at the campgrounds.
Okay.
So you know wasn't a fancy motel or fancy campers or nothing like that. It was like, okay, we're going to Bristol, Tennessee. Pack your tent.
Right.
Do you remember how to put it up? Well, you'll figure it out when we get there.
Right. Right. Learn it the hard way. That way you'll remember it. Prior to your experience, did you ever hear of anybody else that had any experiences? The reason I'm asking this question was it ever in your mind when your experience was happening of this is what they're talking about?
No, not at first.
Okay.
No, not at first.
Okay. Well, let's
So you have to, yeah. Well, it'll all come together.
Sure.
Yeah, it'll all come together
All right.
because it wasn't like this happened, a year ago.
Right.
This
Yeah,
is
mine was 47 years ago. My encounter, my visual encounter. So I
yeah,
understand.
mine was in 1997.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, let's hear it, and feel free to share every detail that you can think of. You know, from if you heard a twig snap, if you smelt a smell, if you've seen something, if that way, whatever detail you can give us, for somebody that hasn't had an experience, it might give them something in the back of their mind to listen for or to be aware of when they're out. You know what I mean? It just kind of raise the
right,
awareness of
right,
your experience to help them in a situation so they don't get hit with a sudden realization that these things are real that could completely wreck their lives if they're not ready for it.
right, right.
Awesome.
Well, like I say, it was 1997, and it was right around this time of the year. It was me and three other guys, and we just decided, hey, look, let's get stuff together, and we'll go out for, a couple of days camping, blow some steam off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So that's exactly what we did. Went up, set the camp up. Normal, built your campfire, cooked around the campfire, sat around. You know, had a couple of beers and talk, chat. Bullshit. You know, now and then I guess it was like it's right at dark. Which if would be off to my right where I was sitting at in the camp. Like something, breaking twigs. Of course, I went to, sound like a deer to me, because I know they're there because I've seen them. And there's a trout stream at the bottom of the hill because we're up on a little knoll. So there's a trout stream at the bottom of the hill. So, but anyway, we went on about, blowed off, on about your business. And so we went to bed. Well, I guess you could say I drew the short straw because we all stayed in one tent. So
That's never good.
no, I was all the way against the back wall. So you had two in front of me and one off to one side, and I guess I would say 2 o'clock in the morning. Now also, oh yeah, and I had a full moon. So the play, it was lit up. So I say about 2 o'clock in the morning. Something brushes the tent, but it brushes the tent hard enough to wake me up. Now my first reaction is, I'm blaming it on the fellas. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not sure whether I can say what I want to say. So I let them know that, hey, what the hell you doing?
Voiced your
No,
displeasure.
yeah, no answer.
Yeah.
No answer. So I, roll over to see. Well, they're all still there. They're all still in the sleeping bags asleep. So I roll back over. Want to roll back over. I say he because I never seen the front. So I'm just assuming it was a he. It could have been a female for all I know because I never got to see the front. And it was standing at the far edge of the tent, which would be where my feet are at. And it was inches from the tent. Just stood there. I mean, like I say, the moon lit it up. And I say it's he. Stood there, and then for a little bit, and of course, I can see it through the tent. Of course, we've all been at a tent, so you can, and then it just, when it decided to leave, he just walked off. He walked off, beside my truck, and I watched him. He just walked out of the light like he just disappeared. No noises, no growling, no howling, no smell. And then, and he was gone. Now, out of the four of us, I was the only one to see because I did not wake them up. And, I didn't see any point in waking them up after he walked into the dark because, I didn't figure they would. And to this day, now one of the guys has passed away, but the other two are still living to this day. Unless they listen to this or other podcasts I've been on, they have no idea he was even there. They never woke up, and I never woke him up. Never woke them up.
And you never mentioned it to them when they woke up.
No. They have no idea. To this day, they have no idea. As a matter of fact, I went, 1997. Me and my wife's been together for 27 years. All right. 22 years of it, she didn't know. I seen how people reacted and done other people that said, hey, look, this is what I saw, and described what they saw and described what they heard and all this, that, and the other. I seen how they were treated. So I said, well, I just keep this shit to myself,
Yeah.
And then I did do a report at BFRO.
Mm-hmm.
No, I done two reports. No response from anybody. No emails, no messages, no nothing. I said, okay, well, whatever. And then we were watching, I've always watched the Bigfoot shows on TV. And I don't know, something just told me, hey, let's try one more time, see if I can find somebody that, maybe want to hear, and that's what I found. Daniel Benoit. So I found him, ECBRO. I contacted him, and he's like, yeah, man, I want to hear, and then he brought me on the podcast, on his podcast, which, that was a little bit of trickery there because I'd never done one before. He's like, yeah, we do it on a podcast. You ever done one? No, I ain't never done one. Oh, I'll guide you through it. And, and then, okay. So we started the podcast, and like this one, it was live, but I didn't know till I was there. I'm on it now. Oh yeah, now it's live. Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for the warning there.
Right.
But
I got to put some clothes on. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. But now we've been, and we've been tight ever since because he was the only one that wanted to hear and listened, and then didn't make fun, didn't poke fun, the mockery. I'm 54. I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know what I saw. I've got nothing to prove to nobody. And, now would I like to see another one? Yeah, because I think that would, to me, confirm the first one.
Self-validation.
Right. But you can't tell me that they're not real because he was standing outside that damn tent.
Yeah.
The tent is 8 by 12. I'm 5'7", 5'8" on a good day. Depends on what shoes you got on. So that's how close he was.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people, I've gotten made fun of this too. I've told people that he was close enough for me to touch. And of course, I've had people say, "So what? You got 8-foot long arms? Come on, dude. If I unzip the sleeping bag, set up on my knees, and the tent wasn't there, I could have reached out and grabbed him by the ankle. That probably would have not have went over very well, but that's what I could have done. Now, common sense would tell you if I tell you that I was close enough, he was 8 feet away, and I was close enough to touch him, that I'm going to get out of the sleeping bag and move. But, I'm sure y'all have had the same thing, the make fun of, the mockery,
Well, a lot of people might find that really bizarre that you went so long without telling anybody.
Yeah, and like I said, I explained the exact reason why.
I'm on your side though. My co-host has been my best friend for damn near 30 years, and he didn't know anything about this.
It's been over 30 years at this point.
Yeah.
You've been saying that 10 years.
and he didn't know anything about my childhood encounter until about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
My cousin, my blood, she's in the chat. She didn't know until about 2 or 3 years ago.
Like I said, it took all that time for me to tell my wife.
Yeah, when I was on TV on These Woods Are Haunted, that's when the world found out. I wasn't going to hide from it then. I knew that when I went to do the screening, the filming for it, there was no hiding it. I had to own it. I don't want to interrupt your story, but Wendy Day is in the chat. Hey, Wendy, how are you? She's a really good friend of ours. And I just wanted to let everybody know Wendy has written a children's book about Sasquatch called The Forest People. Y'all need to go. We put the link up in the very first comments in the chat. Go support her. And, like y'all did me, go support her, get this children's book, give it out to your little kiddos. Her husband did the illustration for it. So go check it out. They're great, wonderful people. Let's show a little bit of support for everybody. Awesome, Wendy. But yeah, going back to, like I said, some people would find that strange, but man, it's a real phenomenon,
Yeah, I tried twice. Filed a report. No messages, no calls, no emails, no nothing. So I just figured, okay, well, maybe they think that, that I'm making it up, or maybe it's not an exciting enough story, for them to fool with. So
I have a question on that, John.
Okay.
Was it shortly after the encounter that you reported it to the BFRO, or was it several years later?
It was several years. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Now, have you actually went back onto their website and see if they marked a pin or a location or gave any details of a sighting being where you reported it?
No, I haven't.
Okay. It's just something that, they may not have contacted you back because it was years ago. And I'm not trying to defend them. I know nothing.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
But they may have thought, oh, this is old. We're not going to get any new information other than what he told us. So they just added it to their database and didn't respond. Is a possibility.
Right.
According to Matt Moneymaker and the BFRO, they have upwards to 75,000 reports, but they don't have the bodies, the members, to go through all the reports to get updated. So they have so many reports that they haven't put out there yet because they're still going through the reports that they backlogged. According to, I believe that's what Matt Moneymaker said, that they're up, because so if you go look at a new file that's released, it's got a number on it, file 74326. So it'd be 74,326.
Right.
from the whenever the BFRO started, I think it was the mid 90s or something like that. Between the United States and Canada, they got almost 75,000 reports, Bigfoot sighting reports.
Yeah. Now I went back myself and found a report that a lady actually filed a police report where she claims that it was a female Bigfoot with a baby crossed the road in front of her. All right, and that happened before mine, and I pinpointed it on a map, and it's within like a 2 or 3 mile radius. Like where she says hers happened, according to where mine was at. It's like a 2 or 3 mile radius. And me and my wife has been up there before. Hiking the the national forest trails. We've been hiking the trails, and there's to me we found a few like small tree breaks and twists, and they're you got to be 8 foot tall, and it looks like the tree was twisted and then broke over.
Yeah.
We found a few of those, and we have been up there hiking in the middle of the day. And like I say, anybody can hike the trails. They're nice and clean and open. And I remember one particular day, I just stopped in the middle of the trail, and was I always let her go first. Now, and that sounds weird, but she has 2 artificial knees, so I let her set the pace.
Bait.
Because if I get in front, I'll walk off from her and not know it.
Also known as bait.
So I hollered at her. I told her to stop. I said, "Stop." She's like, "What's the matter, babe?" I said, "Just stand here a second and listen." So we stood there, and finally she said, "Well, what do you hear? Because I don't hear anything." I said, "Exactly." I said, "We're in the middle of the day. You trying to tell me there ain't no squirrels, there ain't no birds, there ain't nothing on the side of this mountain?" I said, that there's something here or something close that, everybody's done hid from and run from. Now, I never got the feeling that we were being watched.
Yeah.
But, come on, in the middle of the woods and it's quiet. I mean, I could have heard a pin drop that day.
Aware of your surroundings, yeah.
Yeah.
When you were laying there in the tent, and you probably used that tent several times, how big do you think it was if you were looking at the silhouette? I mean, I don't know the angle of the moonlight and how it was backlit and whatnot, but how big?
Well, the moon was he was actually on the same side of the tent as the moon shining. So I guess I explained that right. He was on the moon. The moon is full on the same side of the tent that he was on.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, I'm saying he because I never saw, a front view.
Yeah.
But I would, 8 feet, probably, shoulders probably 3 foot wide. Look like, I'll tell you how I tell most of the people. Are either one of y'all familiar with wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know where you're going.
Okay. Well, then it looks like Big Papa Pump. Except for 8 foot tall. You
know what? That's how I described the one I saw. Was 8 foot tall.
Exact words. The exact words. It's exact words,
that's
Bobby. That's when Bobby was on the phone with me when he had his encounter. He was on the phone with me when he seen it. That's exactly the words he described it. There could have been a million other wrestlers, but he described Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump.
Yeah.
That's
what he looked like.
How he was built.
8 foot tall and full of hair. And made, like I said, it was no smell, made no noise. I mean, I watched him walk off, but he didn't make any noise walking off. Just walked off, and all thing we had was the moonlight and then the campfire. So when he walked away far enough, he just walked out of the light that I could see, and just that was it. Poof, gone.
Was he kind of built like this?
Yeah, he had more of a neck. You know what I'm saying? There was more neck.
Yeah. Yeah. That's big. There's a lot of when we see the things that we see, and like when you see the twisted trees and stuff, the amount of strength that it takes to do that is just insane.
Like I say, the ones that we saw up on the parkway, I couldn't have bent them over and twisted them anyway, because I wasn't tall enough to reach the part of the tree that they twisted and bent over.
Yeah.
If you're looking at, whatever done it, I didn't take any measurements, no tape measures, nothing like that. Whatever it was, had to be 7-8 feet tall.
Yeah.
And these were tree twists and breaks that were a foot to 3 foot off of the trail.
Yeah.
Off of the trail that everybody can walk on.
Mm-hmm.
And people walking up and down the trail and not paying attention. Of course, we were up on the parkway, and we've run into a lot of people up there that hike that have no idea, no clue what they're doing, where they're going, or what they're getting into. Shorts, flip flops, and half a bottle of water. Okay, well, I got 911 on speed dial because somebody's gonna come get you. You can't hike 8-mile round trip or 10-mile round trip 80 degrees with flip flops on and a half bottle of water. Snakes are not going to go around the trail. It's just it's crazy what you see up there.
Yeah.
As far as people, I trust the animals a whole lot more than I do any people.
Understandable. And just like you were describing right off the trail, you don't have to go miles off in the wood to find this evidence. Most of the stuff that Bobby and I find are right off the trail. We stop the side by side because we see it right off the trail. It's just normal people without the awareness of this topic walk right by that tree and think nothing of it.
You're looking for something and you see stuff, and you walk not 10 yards off the trail and you've got footprints and breaks and structures. And
well, that's
90% of what we find is right there for everybody to see.
And not humanly possible to be done.
Right. And that trail that we were on, that specific trail we was on that day, when you got down to the bottom of the hill, there's a waterfall at the bottom of that section. And there's a big slate rock that's right off the trail. So you have to step off the trail onto that slate rock. But that slate rock will take you right down to a part of the top of the waterfall. And I don't care what you are, me, you, bears, deer, bobcats, mountain lions, because they're in Virginia, all of that can walk on that slate rock and drink water, leave no footprints. Mm-hmm. And I don't see why they wouldn't use the trail. Why wouldn't they use the trail? The trail's easier to get to the water than walking down through the woods. If you're any kind of deer hunter, deer takes the least paths of resistance. It's just that simple. So
that's why you see game trails through the woods. They walk the same one because it's worn down. It's easier to get.
It's worn down. It's easy to do.
I don't know why they do it, but I think with the data and the things that Bobby and I have experienced, why they don't take trails. I mean, we look because we've miles and miles of trails that we're on the side by side, and we don't really ever find anything on the trails, but we do see print trails in the woods that stop at the trail and start again on the other side of the trail.
Right.
You remember tracking those, Bobby?
Yeah, almost like they hopped over the
Yep.
the,
Almost
hopped
just
over the sugar sand trail to get
Yep.
back into the leaflet.
Yeah. We do see them not, you know, it's really weird, you know, that would be a thing. It's almost that again points to some intelligence of being aware of self-aware of leaving prints.
Yeah,
Yeah.
humans
Well,
are
like
on this trail all the time.
Yeah.
like the trails up on the parkway, they all have pebbles or pea gravel in the trails. Well, you don't leave we don't leave footprints in pea gravel.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
The part that I like about it is the fact that you had it and you are finally able to kind of get it off your chest.
yeah.
Because holding on to it, it eats you. It literally eats you. And knowing how the world is today and how taboo things are, the amount of nonsense that comes at you from
Yeah, and
people.
I've learned more, like being around Daniel and that group. I've learned, more about how to handle those situations.
Yeah.
Because I was kicked off for one of the groups on Facebook, you know, because of comments that somebody made to me about the story, and then I don't know, he just pushed the wrong button, and I let him know he pushed the wrong button, and of course I went to the administrator on the site and apologized because I shouldn't have used the language I used, but that's just the way I talk.
Yeah. I
Sorry.
mean, words have consequences,
Yeah.
you know?
So, but I apologized to him and I removed myself from the group, because it was like I was getting punished for his mockery. I said, well, no, I can fix that. I can just leave the group and
Mhm.
we just let it go at that.
So did this encounter? Uh-oh. I think he moved the phone. He'll probably jump back on here in a second.
Yeah, give
I,
him that.
yeah, I think he moved and hit a
That is
button.
probably the same thing that it happened right before
Yeah, right before he came on.
came on.
Yeah, I think a lot of the groups out there, there's a ton. There he is. We got you back.
There
Yeah,
we go.
yeah.
I don't know what happened.
You moved just the right way.
Yeah.
What I was saying was, I think what happened to you has happened to a lot of researchers, myself included, and maybe Bob even before. You get a lot of these Bigfoot groups out there on Facebook and whatnot, and there are more trolls on there than there are believers and knowers.
Yeah.
And the fact that the administrators of these groups, what happens is they tend to get so large that they don't want to lose anybody. And they allow for that nonsense to happen. And I think people that actually have had the experiences and have the knowledge of what they've seen, you would want to hear from. And it's this community is kind of fickle because the most brutal people I've found in this community are the researchers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Your encounter was fake, but theirs was real. I don't know if you come across some of those people, or I believe you. I believe your encounter happened. I really believe your encounter happened, and then there's a falling out between you two somewhere down the line, and then his story was fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I haven't run into that yet.
Yeah.
Because like I say, I kind of strictly stay, with the ECBRO. I'm a member of all of their site, all of these sites, and
We like Daniel. We like Daniel.
yeah, and I mean, him and the group that I go camping with, well, my wife goes with us too. I mean, she goes too. They're they're all great people. You couldn't ask for anybody else better as far as going out and camping and knowing that those people have your back.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference what the situation is. They've got your back. They're not gonna run, leave you hanging.
Yeah. Sweep the leg.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Your encounter, did it drive you into maybe being a researcher, an investigator, or are you just kind of just joining a group of like-minded people to be involved? Are you more of an enthusiast, or are you looking for answers?
The encounter happened so far back, and then, like I said, then there was I never done any research or anything until I met Daniel, and then that started it all. And what's my opinion? I've got nothing to prove. I have nothing to prove to nobody.
Yeah.
Now, if I could find real hard evidence when we go, oh yeah, that absolutely cool. Like I said, if I could actually see another one, then it's going to confirm the first one. But I'm not out for fame and glory and and money. It's me and my wife have a great time with them, and now I've got my own equipment, so I help them do the investigations, help them because I can just about track anything you want. So you find me tracks, but so the research didn't start for me until I got together with him and we went to the first conference, and the podcast, and then he's like, hey, look, I do this group camp out every year. Wanna come check it out? Well, hell yeah, I'm coming. What's what's the worst thing? Is I not like it, then I can just pack the tent up and leave.
Yeah.
And we've been going ever since.
Have you had any experiences or any luck on your campouts?
Well, I've
not you for so to speak, but your group that you were with, and I'm sure y'all kind of separate and.
Yeah. There's been some situations with some of the other ones, and there's we were sitting around a campfire. Let's see, that'd be last year, I think, and we were all talking, and then all of a sudden, we all just got quiet, for absolutely no reason, but we all just got quiet, and so then I heard what sounded like to me wood knocks, which would be, you would where we were at, you would cross the creek, you would cross the gravel road that brings you in, and it was up on that ridge, and it sounded like, because I heard them. I heard them, and then we're sitting at the campfire, so we're sitting close enough where I don't have to talk. I can use my hands. So I'm using my hands, poking at my ear, like listen, and I point, and then I done that twice, and before I could do it the third time, it did it again. And when it did it again, well, Daniel had his parabolic bike on, and he took off down the little, gravel road goes into the gravel road goes all the way to West Virginia. But it's little pull-offs, and then where you camping is. Well, he went running down through there to see if he could catch it on audio. But he didn't do it but twice, but I'm telling you, that's exactly what it sounded like to me. It sounded like somebody was standing over on that ridge and hit a tree with a baseball bat. because to me it was shocking because I'd never heard that before. Like I said, my sighting, he didn't make any noise. He just walked through and brushed the tent, kicked the tent, like, "Hey man, I don't know what y'all doing here, but it's time for y'all to leave." Of course, and we packed up. I mean, we packed up and left the next morning. Of course, we didn't pack up and leave the next morning because of that.
That was the plan.
Because I never told them anything.
Yeah.
The next morning was just time to go.
The time you spent with Daniel, we had Daniel on the show. Great guest, great guy, got a lot of great information. And Daniel's got a great vision for the things that he's wanting to do and build and incorporate and whatnot. I noticed that he has I think a video coming out pretty soon. He's got a few videos coming out.
Yeah.
This one,
Bigfoot Explorers.
Yeah. Can you say anything about that, or is that kind of hush hush in the pre-production or kind of thing?
Well, I'll leave that. If you've got a question or two, I might can answer it. But I'll leave that to him.
Okay.
He's the movie star. He's the movie star. He just happens to catch us on camera when we're doing we're using the parabolic mic or this, that, and the other. He happens to catch us. We're all on his videos. Me, my wife, and the other people at the group. But he's Hollywood.
Hollywood. That's what we start calling Daniel. Hollywood. What's up, Hollywood? Hey, how do I put this? Okay, I guess best way to just ask it like in a you're not going to make me mad. Just ask it. Oh no,
it's not.
I've got a very small vocabulary, so I'm trying to sound smart. But that's it's going to take a lot of work. So I'll just basically ask you: do you have a theory or an opinion on these things? Where do they go? You think they migrate? You think they stay in one place? What do you think they are? Do you have a theory of natural, been alongside us all along, interdimensional?
Yeah.
I mean, those kind of things.
Yeah. Now I don't think that that aliens pick them up and drop them off.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're. I'm kind of on the fence about the. Whether they walk through portals or not. But they're not. I think they're human. Not they're. I mean, flesh and blood. So if you can hurt them just like you can hurt me or you or I think they're and they just been here and they're pretty good at what they do. I mean, go back to what everybody knows. If you've been in the woods and you've hunted, you tell me. Yeah, or are either one of you hunters? No, neither one of you hunt.
Nope.
Don't got anything
against it. I used to when I was a kid, but no.
Small game hunting with my uncle when I was a kid, but that was it.
Everybody knows bears exist. We all can agree that there is a such thing as a bear. Mm-hmm. Black bear, brown bear, grizzly bear. All right. Yeah. Ask the hunters, how many have you seen dead in the woods?
Yeah.
That is very, very rare. Now the deer is, well, I guess it's kind of an exception because
it's still rare to see a dead deer in the woods.
Yes, because I don't count the ones that you run up on and find that somebody shot and couldn't find them when they was tracking it.
Yeah.
That doesn't count. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
And my opinion is if they're smart enough to stay away from us for the most part, then why can't these be smart enough to bury their dead like we do? Why not? Now I'm not saying that's what they do, but that's just I don't see why they couldn't.
Yeah, I mean I'm right there with you. I don't, and I could be wrong. It's just I don't think they're alien. I mean to this world, I don't think they're alien. I think if anything, we as human beings are more alien to this planet than they are, because I've said it. Some people don't like it, but it's okay. We all have our
Yeah,
opinions.
that's
Um,
a whole different conversation there. But yeah,
I mean,
I've got an idea on that too.
I
So
mean, for the human species, we're the only species on this planet that isn't set up to survive from birth without something artificial.
right,
Shelter, heat,
Clothes.
right,
clothes.
and it,
Our feet aren't even built right to walk.
right,
With balls on our feet and whatnot. I mean, you can drop us anywhere in the world. A brand new mom and a brand new baby, drop them in paradise, but they got nothing to survive with, and figure it out. They ain't gonna survive. We weren't
right,
born. You can't. We're the only species on this planet that from the day we're born, we need something artificial to help us keep us alive. That is
right,
not a natural thing. That's not natural.
right,
And so that's why it's really weird to think of that thing alone. We need something else other than this to keep us alive. I mean, you got animals that are walking the day they're born, and it takes us up to 2 years. That's just you're prey until you can run. So we feel, in the grand scheme of things, we're more of a alien to the natural world here
yeah. Well,
than
my
all
opinion,
these other things.
yeah, my opinion on that is, is to me, it's rather simple. We This is not our planet of origin. We we came from somewhere else. Now I can't tell you who brought us here or how we got here, but we're not originally from here. But like you said, it takes us so long before we can walk and we can even take care of ourselves. Any of that. Come on, we're the only species. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, we're the only species that walk this planet that gets sunburned.
Yeah.
The sun can literally cook us.
It's radiation poison. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, yeah, we're we're the
We're not we're not
extraterrestrials.
we're not we're not set up for this environment.
But like I say,
Yeah.
it's my opinion. My
hmm
opinion is we're not. This is not our home planet. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, like I said, I don't know if what I just said about us is a belief or just a really deep thought, because it is true. We naturally, we are not set up to survive on our own without something
Right.
artificial from
And
day
I agree
one.
with everything you said. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree 100% with
Yeah.
everything you said. But yeah, it's just theories. But
hmm
I can't prove it. But you know, I feel deep enough about it to where I don't need to prove it to anybody.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't need to prove to anybody that the story I told you was real. I know what I saw, and you know, that was, if you believe it, you believe it. If you don't, then, okay, we can talk about something else,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to listen to we're not in kindergarten, we're not 5, so I'm not listening to you know, the mockery. Well, let's just change the subject,
Yeah.
you know.
The Do you think that they are? Do you think they migrate, or do you think they just go where the food goes, or do you think they have the abilities to be hunter gatherers and just kind of prep for that harsher weather? You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
food source, the deer and then the hogs and all that stuff, kind of head out some places.
right.
Um, do you think they follow, or do you just think that, like I said, they're just hunter gatherers and they can make it regardless?
I'm not sure of. I mean, I'm not going to give an opinion that I'm not, I'm not, I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure whether, you've got, like the one that I saw, and the one that the lady reported to the sheriff's department. Now that one you can look up. It is it's on record from the sheriff's department. I don't know. I don't know whether they were mates, and they're still there, or they have migrated, north, south. You know, that's, that part still, I'm not exactly for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to.
Yeah. I think that, we give them credit for being smart and intelligent. And I don't necessarily think that they're on a migrational pattern. I could be totally wrong. But I think they're a lot like us. If we end up using all the resources, we now have to move to, be, have a sustainable life, to get food and water and shelter. If there's no food there, we are obviously you're going to cash out.
Right.
So
And it makes perfect sense.
it's just
I mean,
logical,
We do that
you go,
every day, except we follow the work. They
Yeah.
follow the food, we follow the work, because the
Yeah.
work gets us our food.
Yeah.
right.
We're the exact same way.
That's what they would have to go where the food is. Otherwise, they're just allowing themselves to die. But I don't necessarily know. No, don't think anybody does. And if they do, let us know. That if I don't think they may migrate. Unless unless they just travel from cooler to warmer locations with the weather. In a sense, that's migrating. But who the hell wants to live in a snowy mountains all year long? No, I'm not up for that.
Yet Alaska's full of Bigfoot sightings.
I know. They can
Which
survive.
says they're better equipped to survive than you are.
At 100%. I can barely survive the air condition. They're in Malaysia, they're in the Yeti, where the Yeti was. They're
Himalayans.
in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
They're in Australia. They're in China. They're in Russia. They're in South America. They've been seen in the deserts. So they can adapt
Like
anywhere.
we do.
Yeah,
Like we do.
They can adapt anywhere. I just don't know if they're just traveling.
Because now you think, now you just named all the places that they are at.
Mhm. That they've
Okay.
been reported, yeah.
That they've been reported.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now each one of those places, if me and you would go, we would have to climatize to that place.
Acclimate to it. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Because they've been seen in Alaska, which is, to me, Alaska is a fascinating place. So the people that live up there, their blood is thicker than ours. That's how they can walk around in a jacket and a hat when it's 30 below zero. And we would go up there and absolutely freeze.
Come back home.
Yeah. And come back home. But their bodies has adapted to that cold weather. So they come down here and we're walking around, it's 50 degrees down here and we're walking around in a jacket. And they're walking around with a t-shirt and shorts on. So I don't see why they couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you been taking any or gotten any reports of anybody or other people, multiple people seeing the same one? Something with certain characteristics, like one with a scar on his face, or a missing pinky, or with a limp, or something like that.
Now, that's the bad thing about where I live at. You can't. I've had a couple people contact me, and say, "Hey, look, my brother-in-law, saw one, and he wants to tell somebody." So, okay, well, have him message me, and yeah, have him message me. We'll do a FaceTime call, and he can tell me, and I won't tell nobody his name. I'd like to be able to tell his story to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I'll leave his name out. The people around where I live at, because I'm about 45 minutes to an hour away from Daniel, south of Daniel. And you can't tell me somebody around here has not heard something that doesn't add up or seen something that doesn't add up. They just You know, I think it's simple. They don't want to talk for the same reason I didn't. They don't want to be, because this is a small, I live in Lexington, so it's Rockbridge County. It's a small community. I've lived here all of my life. So for the most part, if you do something here, eventually I'm going to know you did it, whether you tell me or not.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, oh, yeah, we know Jimmy. Yeah, I know Jimmy. Oh, well, they caught him DUI yesterday. Oh, really? Then the next time I run into you, it's like, hey, man, what'd you do? So, so I think that's the people's problem around here. And, that was mine for a long time, because of the way that people acted and the way they treated, until I met Daniel and that group. And they're not like that. Now, we've run into, like I said, I've run into people that has questioned me, and, did I present myself every time like I should have? No, I did not.
Yeah.
At
our age, we don't have to put up with it anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, you asked me a question, I'm gonna give you an answer. Yep. You asked for my opinion, you get it. Now, if you ask me for an opinion and you get it, don't get mad at me, because you're the one asked for it. Exactly. It's just, it's just that, if you didn't really want to know what I had to say, then you shouldn't have asked me, because I'm going to tell you. Like I say, I have to watch. Daniel says it sometimes. I have to watch how I talk, because he says, well, I like to keep these tapes PG, so sometimes I'll let things slip out, but that's me. That's the way I talk. It's part of my vocabulary. Like you said earlier, mine's not very big, so I have to use the words I know.
Most of my vocabulary is the words you know.
So they slip out. Yeah.
Well, listen, I would love to have you back on, especially if this new trip you're getting ready to go on out. If something happens, would you like to come back on and talk about it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I like I said, I've got no problems in talking about it now.
Yeah.
I mean, that group changed my mind. And of course, I know there's always going to be people that are negative and the trolls, but over the last 5 years, I'm not 100%, but I'm better than I was at first, because I would just slam off on somebody that because come on, man, you've known me for 30 seconds and you'll call me a liar. That's not, I will reach through the phone and slap the taste out of your mouth. I was raised that way. You know what I mean? You can't call me a liar, man. You don't know who I am.
Yeah.
So, there's still some of that, but I can control it a little bit better now than I could at first.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I know that I'm working on my delivery method as well. I try to tell my sons. My dad had a terrible way of delivering his thoughts and opinions, and I hung on to it. And it was the delivery.
With his knuckles.
Well, his delivery was with a real sharp tongue, and I took offense to it. But once my dad said his piece, he was done. But it didn't matter. I held on to that conversation for a year, 2 years, and I was mad at him for so long. He couldn't figure out why I was so mad, and it was. You don't remember that conversation we had 2 years ago? The delivery system, on how you deliver, the way you come across.
Well, like I say, my grandmother and my grandfather raised me. So, my uncles were my brothers, which they were, a whole lot older, and they were direct and to the point.
Yeah.
You couldn't get no more direct and to the point than they were. They would just tell you, if you put your hands on me, I'm gonna put my hands on you, and that's exactly what would happen. So, I grew up with that mindset because I seen them do it.
Right. Yeah, you live what you learn, and you learn what you live. Um, yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on. Since you've had your encounter, um, have you been hesitant to go out in the woods by yourself?
No,
No.
no, I'm not. I, I'm not scared of the dark. I guess that's I guess that's what You know. Do
No,
I
yeah, I'm
carry?
not asking you that. I'm not asking you that. Has it made you more apprehensive now that you know what's really out there? You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Now, as far as as being more, as paying more attention and being more aware. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Of course,
Gotcha.
I've always carried a firearm. You know,
Yeah.
when I'm in the woods. You know, I've always carried one as long as I was legal to carry one.
Hmm.
You know, in the woods. So but yeah, it make you pay a. I do anyway. I pay a whole lot more attention to what's going on. Hey, did you hear that? Hey, what is that? Hey, you know, shh, listen a minute. What do you hear? I hear nothing. You know, why am I not hearing something? You know,
Yeah. When you're out in the woods prior to having an encounter, uh, at that time, a twig snap is just a twig snap.
you don't pay any attention to it.
You don't pay
I
any
mean,
attention
really.
to it
I mean,
until you have an encounter. That twig snap becomes a possibility of what you know. Um,
yeah,
your ears perk up because now you know what's out there, and it could just be a twig snap, or it could be something else. And it's just your awareness has to be raised, and kind of that's why we're doing
yeah,
what we're doing too, is to help raise awareness for all this, so people aren't out there wandering aimlessly and getting their lives destroyed by this sudden realization of this monster standing in front of them.
yeah. I mean, like I say, it is. I've been. It makes me more aware out. When I'm out in the woods, if by myself or with you know anybody. What you're listening. Of course, I, you know, I say I've been in the woods and camping and hunting and fishing since I was 8 years old. Because
It,
where I grew up at, there was two gentlemen that owned two separate farms, and it. I say the neighborhood, but it's really not a neighborhood. It was just a road.
yeah,
You turned on my road, and you drove to the end of it, and then you was on back on the main highway. So all the kids that lived down that road, you know, this man would come and get you, because he help him on the farm, or he had a big pavilion down there beside the river where he rented out. Hey, look, yeah, I rented it to this place, and they didn't clean up. Man, y'all come help me clean up.
yeah,
So we go help him clean up. And when we wanted to go camping, it was simple. We go knock on his door, say, hey, we're going, can we camp somewhere this weekend? He'd be like, yeah, okay. Well, you stay out of the east field because my cows is over. If I get you over, my cows will beat your ass. And that's exactly what. If he caught you, that's what you get. Then he'd take you back to your mom and daddy and explain why he beat your ass.
And you
You
get
yeah,
it
know,
again.
yeah. You
yeah.
did it again.
Then
So
you get
you
it
know,
Yeah,
again.
so we would be 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, and two or three of us, and we would go in the west field, because remember, you got to stay out of the east field, cows is in there. So you go to the west field, back at the edge of the woods, and you camp. And he had a few rules. Hey, look, if you're going to camp, you know, put your ring of rocks and you build a fire inside the rocks, and you know, before you leave, you clean your mess up, you put the fire out, because he would find out where you was at on his property, and then after you left, he'd go check. And if you didn't do what he asked you to do, you never went back.
yeah.
You know, so
I'd have
now
took.
of
I would
course,
have. As I said, I'd have took my lickings if it would have been me. As a kid, I couldn't tell my right from my left, let alone east from west. So I would have got whooped all the time.
but he was. I mean, he was incredible to us. When there wasn't anything happening at the pavilion, he let us camp down there, and then he had he owned both sides of the land of the creek. So he would go and get trout and then pull his upper net and his lower net and dump the trout between the two nets. And go, we all stand down here the weekend, ain't you? Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. He goes, well, get y'all some trout. Y'all catch them things and eat them. He'd go, he'd go get them and bring them, drop them off in the creek for us to catch or try to catch. You know, we wasn't supervised. You know, it was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. You know, the kids lived down that road, and there was no adults. You know, you you know, didn't take long to learn. You know, what you needed to do, what you didn't need to do. You know, like setting your tent up, or how do you keep your tent from drawing moisture from the ground, and it didn't take long to figure it out because you wake up 1 or 2 mornings in the sleeping bag and you're soaking wet. You can figure out why. Yeah. So
Well, when the show's over, you're gonna have to send me an email on how, because I still continue to wake up wet. No, we got good tents now. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm happy that you came on and shared with us. And I hope on this trip that you're getting ready to take, you guys have luck. I hope you guys just find all kinds of things that make you want to scream out to the world.
Oh yeah, it would be great. It would be great because then, if that would happen, this time or the next time or the next time, then I could say, I told you so.
Yeah, and I'm not
I told
crazy.
You so.
Yeah,
I told you so. But I'm not after, I'm not after, the fame and fortune.
Yeah. Well, John, I appreciate you coming on so much. Bob, you got any questions for John? Anybody else out there? If anybody has any questions for John, type them in the chat real quick in all caps. That way we know that they are questions. If John hasn't answered a question on, where he think they come from, how many fingers and toes they have, whatever, any kind of question you got for him, John said he'll answer them. We'll give everybody a couple minutes to think it through. Before we go, also, I do want to mention about Wendy Day's book, children's book that she wrote, The Forest People. There's a link in the very first comment in the chat that I put. You can go. Please support Wendy by purchasing a children's book. It's called The Forest People. And I believe her husband, John, was the one that did all of the illustrations for the book as well. Y'all supported me with my children's book that I wrote. So support somebody else in the community, good people. I don't see any questions that are popping up, but again, John, I really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so much for coming on. And we've been chatting back and forth, and I apologize about last week.
No, it's there. You don't need to apologize. I get it.
Awesome.
You done what you needed. You done what you needed to do, and it was cool.
Yeah. What anybody that knows me, or even kind of knows me, knows that my family will always be first. The two number one women in my life, number one and number two, is my wife and my daughter, and I don't know which one's one or two. So don't tell my wife. She's probably listening. But just things happened that made me unavailable.
Yeah, and it was fine. And I mean, it was 100% fine.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna. Bob, you got anything?
No.
You got any announcements? Any announcements?
I won't be here next week. You'll be flying solo.
All right. Yeah.
Unless Mikey gets off work early.
Okay, so. I'll take Mikey. Mikey's a part of our team, Bigfoot Forest Giants research team, investigators. If the person that I booked is still available, I may fly solo if I don't have anybody, or I can reach out. Maybe one of my mods would like to come on and be a co-host. Miss Diane, what do you think? You'd like to come on and be a co-host? Diane and Diane Fowler and Cashew Gesundheit are our mods. They're great. They keep everybody in check and everything running smooth. They've helped us out a ton too. Well, with that being said, we are going to check out. John, once again, thanks so much. Good luck on your trip. Stay safe.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You bet. Tell Daniel and the team I said hi. I'll probably reach out. I sent him a message earlier this right before the show. But yeah, good luck, man. I hope you guys get the trip that you've been, trip of the lifetime. Every time we go out, we're all wanting that same thing. We're all wanting that
Yeah.
validation, and I hope you guys get it.
I
There
appreciate
you
it.
go. There you go, Jim. Miss Diane said it could be possible.
It could be possible. Okay. All right. Awesome. So we will see you guys later. You guys have a great day, everybody. Just the crazy, crazy world out there. Let's just hold on to the love a little bit harder. And stay positive because it's a crazy world out there. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. And John, Bud, appreciate it, bud. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Bob.
no problem. No problem.
As always, thanks, man.
Mhm.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for everyone in the chat. Bye-bye.